Well, thank you, Carol, for that introduction. And I guess it's my turn to get nervous to come to see you today. Is that what it's about today? Well, good morning, delegates. It's an absolute delight for me to join you here and to outline the work that a group of us are beginning. And we are very much at the beginning. We're following on very much from the presentation you just heard. It is about implementation. It is about a focus on nursing and midwifery. As I said, we're at the beginning, so you're all here to be part of that process and to help determine the outcome. That's my purpose of being here, to get you involved, to get others involved, so that you determine the journey that we all take and the outcome that we all determine together. So I'll be asking you to do something a bit later on. So what I want to do is I was asked by the Minister to chair this group on nursing and midwifery, really about the implementation, how it fits in with the current changes that has just been outlined so eloquently. So I want to talk about our terms of reference in broad terms and the membership. I want to talk, well, the strategic context. I think we've just had an excellent exposition of that, so I won't say much about that. About the transformation agenda, about the timescale, and then about our approach and methodology, which are probably the most important parts of what I want to talk about today, and then to how you can become involved in this process. So that's basically what I'll be doing over the next 25 minutes or so. So we've been asked to present a report to the Minister with recommendations outlining how the contribution from nursing and midwifery can be maximised to improve the outcomes for the population. And clearly, the way that's worded really does focus on the population, and it is about health and well-being. Again, the shift towards health and well-being, public health approach, and health, not just physical health, but also mental health, where they have parity of esteem in the system. Well-being, about healthy lifestyles, about prevention, about initially so that people lead a healthy lifestyle and they can get into the health system first of all. Well, that's not the right way to say it, is it? The healthy lifestyle aspect becomes part of the health system itself, and that's at the beginning. And then prevention, and quality of care, care at home, those kind of issues that you're all familiar with, that are on the agenda. But also for us, and about the only decision that we've taken independently so far, is the key part of that work, key part of that population, clearly is the workforce. Because without a healthy and workforce, a workforce that is involved and has ownership of what's going on, you can forget the rest. You can't deliver the rest if the workforce is not also there. So then we've been asked, as part of that, to identify then innovations in nursing and midwifery practice, to embrace and build upon best practice here in Northern Ireland, in GB, in the Republic and elsewhere. I think that's important because there is lots of excellent practice going on. The thing is, how is that best practice then transferred so that other people are up to the frontier in doing that, or can it be transferred? Is there something specific about the environment in certain areas where it works there and not elsewhere? So we recognise there is lots of excellent work going on. We want to capture that excellent work so others learn from that excellent work and it's spread out. And also, in developing the future, how can we exploit and take advantage of North-South cooperation and all-Ireland aspect of this as well, and perhaps other cooperation. And then we've been asked to look at the socio-economic value of nursing. So there are broad terms of reference. It's really how does nursing and midwifery then fit into the transformation agenda that has just been outlined, and how can that be achieved? Just in terms of the membership of the group, it's there to reflect those things. I won't go through those various aspects of provision, but that representing those, and many of these people you'll know, so if you want to feed anything into individually to membership,
There's Brona Scott from now NHS in Wales, who was a member of the expert panel group, so that actually forms the link there. Tanya McCants, Professor of Nursing at Ulster University. Professor Viv Bennett, who's at Public Health England. Your own Angela McClernand of NIPEC. Janice Smith of the RCN. Mary Hines of Public Health Authority. Anne Kilgallen, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer. Caroline Lee, who was the former Deputy Chief Nursing Officer and is now Director of Clinical Education Centre. Sean Donaghy from the board is an expert in e-health, and I think that one thing that we do take as given is that the future will be much more e-facilitated than it is now, and that is part of the future. That's taken as a given. So it's how we maximise that to help people in terms of their well-being. And Alan Corey Finn, who's HSC Trust Director. That's the core group there, and we're supported by Naveen McGarity from the department, who's here, and Joanna McCulloch. And of course, we're all accountable to Charlotte McCardle, the Chief Nursing Officer, so she's going to make sure that we deliver. Now, in terms of the strategic context, I think this is well known to you. Systems, not structures, taking the second one, which you've just heard about, and the one author of that is here, so the lessons from that. Building on that is the ministers delivering together, which is coming, fairly new to this area. In the past, I did serve on the board of the old United Health and Health Trust, but coming back and looking afresh at this, and that's, I guess, in part why I'm asked to look at it. So I don't have much baggage in terms of what's going on, etc. But as a ministerial document, I think that's probably one of the best that I've seen in terms of delivering together. And as Raphael said, it has wider political ownership there as well, which is also important. It's just not that minister's document, it seems to me, it has broader. But some of the key aspects there in terms of the change needed, about building capacity in communities, about building capacity in terms of prevention, the whole public health thing, and to reduce inequality, and ensuring the next generation is healthy and well. While more supporting primary care, I'm aware that I might be talking about structures in some of this language and not systems, and organising ourselves to deliver. That's some of the context, and we're taking all this as given, because it's important that we're not going to try and reinvent things. That's the given. It's how nursing and midwifery now fits into that future and maximises its potential. And I think there is a lot of potential in terms of the broader role that nursing and midwifery can play right throughout the system, from prevention through to primary care, caring, etc. And having looked at this, and I just, in terms of the primary care, I just wonder really what GPs are doing a lot of the time, because it can be mostly done by nurses and midwifery and others. But then also, the programme for government is taken as given. Now, the important thing there is the terms of the programme for government is written in terms of outcome-based accountability, which links to the point that was being made earlier about a value, paying according to value. Well, the government now has an outcome-based system, so its objects are not defined in terms of processes, in terms of policies. It's in terms of what will be achieved for the population, be it in the area of economic policy, be it in the area of health, be it in the area of transport, whatever. The policies in terms of outcome. What is the outcome for the population that we're seeking to achieve here? And this is the starting point for the programme for government, and it's our starting point as well. So clearly one of the key outputs there, outcomes, in terms of health, is people in Northern Ireland enjoying long, healthy and active lives. That's the way that the key outcome is actually put for health. It is enjoying long, active lives, not about the number of nurses, GPs etc. So it's that outcome-based accountability which I'll come back to in a moment. And then clearly what we also take as given in terms of the context is that there's reform of the regulatory framework going on. We can't be recommending things that are outside the regulatory framework. So they're the things, they're the four key things that we take as a given, and we work to deliver within those. Then in terms of the transformation agenda from the department, as I say, we are there to achieve that, and there is an overall transformation board. It is a very large programme of work, and the Minister is chairing the overall transformation board. Within that, there is a series of transformation implementation work streams, and we are one of those. We are one of many work streams going on in the department. And one of the challenges for us and for the other work streams is clearly to keep up to speed and to interrelate with what's going on elsewhere. Because we can't take as given that nothing is being recommended for change elsewhere in the system. As an economist, there's the simple approach to economics, which is called partial equilibrium, which is you just look at what you're doing and assuming everything else is constant. But of course we know that everything else is not constant, everything else is anything but constant. So it's more of a general equilibrium approach in economics. But so we've got to take into account what's been recommended elsewhere. And there are numerous work streams, and we're feeding into those. So at each of our meetings then we do have a report on what's going on elsewhere. And so we know it, and then we can feed in also to what's going on elsewhere. In terms of e-health, in terms of leadership, we had an excellent presentation in terms of the collective, compassionate leadership last time. So what's been recommended there, how that fits in to what we're doing. I won't go through the timescale we're working towards. You can see that it's quite tight timescale. Final report by December, the report to Charlotte in September, and then the stages going through. Stage one is really about determining then the population, those population outcomes, the work streams, getting groups going from that, and then through to the draft report. But this isn't what I that's not important at all. Our approach, we'll have monthly meetings, 3 stages. Now, this is where I'm going to ask you for your help, because the approach we're also taking is a co-production approach, which is a developing area. Many of you will be familiar with the co-production approach. Perhaps a standard way of people going about reviews is for a group to get together, for them to develop some views, and then to put those views out for consultation and take on board those views and feed them back. That process doesn't give all people in the population parity of esteem. It doesn't take into account that everybody's experience is of equal value, because certain people have put down what they think, and then, as you know, if you're responding to what somebody else thinks, they've got the advantage first straight away. So in terms of co-production, there's everybody experiences of equal value. It will be different in experience, different in its contribution it can make. But it values lived experiences equally, be they of the medical professionals, be they of the patients, whoever they are. So though the end report will be clinically informed, we start from a position where everybody's views are of equal value. So it's co-production. And it's also output-based. So when we're talking about the population, what are those key populations? How do we determine what those key populations are? One population would be the children, school-aged children. Is that a key population for us? About how do we get those children to lead healthy lives? And then if that is a key population, we want children to lead more active lives so that they're going to be healthy longer into the future, keep out of the health system. What is the role then, if that is one, I'm saying it, what is then the role of the school nurse? How is the school nurse then enhanced, that role enhanced, to help people lead
active lives early on in their careers, such that they stay out of the health system. That would be one population. Is that a key population? Is that a key thing that we should be looking at? Population clearly, well, is it clearly, of people then who is receiving care at home into the future. Well, how is that defined? What kind of, how we would look after those? How would we determine their quality of life, their outcome? So it is about determining right from the beginning, and this is where we are now. We have a meeting tomorrow following this, and this is why what you tell us is important, because we will determine the decision straight away. What are the key populations that we should be looking at in terms of health outcomes? And it is about outcome-based accountability. It starts with the population, then the medical input is a means, not the end. Okay, so what are those populations? And who are those populations? And then from that, we then begin to look at what the role of nursing and midwifery can be to maximise the outcome for those populations. Okay, so what are the key populations that we should be looking at in terms of moving the system forward? And then we can look at the outcome. So that's what we'll be doing, and with this outcome-based accountability, it's being facilitated by the National Children's Bureau, and we've got a workshop tomorrow on how we move forward. So your views are essential to us. This, we are facilitating a co-produced document. We are the facilitators. Our views are no more important than yours or somebody who's receiving the treatment or the parents of young children. So we've got to capture those views, distill them, put them together, okay, and then look at the contribution. So over at the back, Joanna's sitting there. We have a table and some yellow stickies. Where's Naveen? Naveen is there, and Joanna. These are the two people in the department who are working with us. Now, we'd like your thoughts, not long essays, just key points, well, firstly on anything I've said, but on three things, firstly. The first one is, what is the best way that we can engage with youth? Because we appreciate that many nurses clearly are on the front line. They do not have time to go to meetings, they do not have access to emails, and there's a danger with that engagement. Key people are missed out from it because they're just too busy to get involved in it. So what is the key way that we could engage with, if you like, nurses and midwives working on the front line to ensure that their views are captured right at the beginning and taken on board? Then, because we want to begin to think about these key populations tomorrow, what I'd like you to think about is, well, one of the objectives in terms of the programme for government is people in Northern Ireland enjoying long, healthy and active lives. This would be a big part of it. People in Northern Ireland enjoying long, healthy and active lives. So just like your views on, well, one or two aspects of that. What in your experience as nurses and midwives are the three key changes that could be made to actually have that come about? Or what are the three key things from your perspective that prevents that being achieved? So in terms of people in Northern Ireland enjoying long, healthy and active lives, what are the three key things that prevents that from being achieved, or what are the key things that enhance that? The other thing, focusing down a bit, is that in the delivering together, is that the nursing and midwifery workforce is well equipped and confident to embrace change. Now, what in your view then are the three things needed for that to be achieved, or what are the three constraints? I think what we're sure about is the future. There has to be collective and compassionate leadership in the health service. There's evidence that works, the collective leadership of all participants in the health service working together on an equal basis. We're also sure that nothing can be delivered without there being a healthy and confident workforce. So what in your views are the three things that could be done to help that happen, or the three things at the moment that are actually there that are stopping nurses being well equipped, confident to embrace change that's required into the future? Let's say I'm very much, it's not a finished piece of work, it's right at the beginning. It's my purpose here today is to outline to you where we are, what we're seeking to achieve. Also, to emphasise that we are incredibly serious about this being a co-produced report. Okay, so it's how do we involve key people in that co-production. It's not about consultation, us putting things down and going out and seeing what you think. It's getting your views in the beginning. We are facilitators. We, if you like, distill a broad set of views to attempt to get wide and collective ownership for this, about the future of nursing and midwifery in a transformed health and social care system. Okay, so that's where we are, right at the beginning. We want your help. We want your involvement. Please. Thank you.